I recently had a comment on the video where I turned 2 gallons of milk into 2 cheese balls. And the commenter asked me if they could use skim milk to make the cheese. And the answer is no. You could try it, you're gonna get something else, and it might not be as good. But if you have skim milk to use up, there are plenty of other ways to use it. I recommended a frittata, so that's what I'm gonna make today. Just to show you how versatile this is, and because I'm going to use the oven anyway, I went ahead and roasted off that other turkey breast I had in the freezer from Thanksgiving, but you can really use anything. I like onions and garlic for sure, and then the rest of my ingredients I just want to make sure go together. In this case, I'm using turkey, mushrooms, Swiss cheese, and spinach. All that stuff is gonna work great together. And you wanna roughly eyeball the solid ingredients you have left and try to get an equal volume of egg. I don't want a stainless steel here. It's gonna stick. I'm going with my cast irons. I could use my 10-inch skillet. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger and use my 12-inch. Teflon non-stick also works, but you wanna take into consideration if the whole thing can go in the oven. If any part of it is made out of rubber or plastic or wood or anything like that, something that can't safely go in the oven, don't use that pan. That's also a really good consideration to have when you purchase new cookware. Can I safely transfer this from the stovetop to the oven? Frittata is really a lazy man's meal. You can make this any way you want, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this whole onion in there, even though this seems like a lot of onion. Might as well get our heat going. And our oil hot for our onions that are coming in really soon. Tester? Not yet. There we go. Medium heat, we want those to caramelize. Freshly brushed mushrooms, and if I'm making a stock within the day that I'm using mushrooms, I usually take these stems out and I use them in the stock. So look for that video. That's future stock. Bite-sized pieces there, which is a little bit like saying salt to taste. I have a way bigger bite size than literally anybody I know. Garlic and mushrooms go in. The only other thing that I need to prep now is this Swiss cheese that I stuck in the freezer for 15 minutes before I started shooting to make it a little easier to shred. And I don't need much. I'm not trying to make this a cheesy dish. I'm trying just to have a complementary flavor from the Swiss that'll go with the rest of my ingredients. That I think is going to be plenty. I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit to medium high, since now I have a little more attention to give this. And once I see those mushrooms starting to cook, I'm going to add my turkey. And just from previous experience, I think I'm going to use 8 eggs. And here's where that milk comes in. You can pretty much add it to anything you want. I'm gonna go with about a tablespoon per egg. Everything's looking very nice, and I'm just going to fill this entire dish here with spinach. This is going to cook down a lot. Once that spinach is pretty well melted down, I'm going to add about half of my cheese. You can add the whole thing at this point if you want. We are also going to salt and pepper at this point. If you use bacon or prosciutto or pepperoni or salami, really anything that's been cured, you might want to hold back on the salt. Then in go your eggs. And I'm going to turn my heat off and push this around a little bit. Just make sure that all the ingredients get incorporated together. There's going to be some residual heat making some egg curds that you want to get off the bottom. This will ensure that you get a nice brown bottom and not a burnt bottom. Add the rest of my cheese. Maybe just a little bit more. Couple schools of thought here. We can go into a 450-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. We can go under the broiler for 4 to 5. We can turn the heat all the way down to maybe 350. The idea is that you need to check it, and it's done when it doesn't jiggle anymore. This took about 18 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius, let's put right here. And it smells awesome, but if you want to get it out of the pan, you've got to let it cool. All right, this is nicely cooled. If this was a Teflon pan, we could just slide this right out, but since it's a cast iron, the edges usually get a little bit crispy, so I'm just going to give it a little help here. And then you can sort of, you hear that? The bottom's not quite stuck to the bottom. So what we can do is take our whole cutting board and just flip that over. It tore just a little bit from our acrobatics. If you don't want that at all, you can cut it up in the pan. Use something dull so you don't mess up your knives, mess up your pans. I'm probably gonna slice this up into 6 pieces. I'll have 1 piece now, and the rest will get packed in with my lunches over the course of the week. We're gonna get a little bit of Parmesan cheese on there because we can. And then I'm also gonna parm up my salad that I made out of pretty much the same stuff. It's a turkey, mushroom, Swiss, and spinach salad. I made a little rice wine vinaigrette if you wanna see how I did that. I'll put it right up here. This is so savory and delicious. You get a little sweet from the caramelized onions, you get a little savory from the turkey, a little bit of a funky note from the Swiss cheese. The mushrooms have a nice earthiness to them. This is a really well-rounded and very simple way to even just use up some leftovers. When you're putting together a combination, what I like to think about is, how would I build a sandwich and how would those flavors complement each other? Chances are, if you've seen it on the menu, mushroom Swiss burger, those flavors are gonna work together. And I really like it when I can see the same ingredients a couple of different times, a couple of different ways throughout the course of my meal. Guys, this was a very unplanned video, the inspiration for which was a comment on this video right up here. There's nothing I like more than brainstorming food and interesting ways to use it. Click the broken egg to subscribe. New episodes are coming out at 9 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. And don't forget to let your hunger be your inspiration.